Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today we're diving into something pretty fascinating. It's the idea that little acts of kindness, they can actually snowball into something UGE.
It's like a ripple effect.
Exactly, a ripple effect. So whether you're, putting together a presentation on kindness or maybe just trying to live a more fulfilling life, or even if you're just curious about the whole concept, I think you're really going to enjoy this deep dive. And we're pulling from all sorts of sources. We've got some cutting-edge scientific studies, some, timeless teachings from the Bible, even some stuff from social media that will really make you think. And get this, science is starting to show that kindness can actually give you a rush of feel-good chemicals in your brain, almost like, like winning the lottery.
It's pretty amazing what science is starting to uncover, and in many ways it's confirming what spiritual traditions have known for centuries. Kindness, it's not just, good for the soul, it actually has a positive impact on our overall well-being. Take, for example, this study from the National Institutes of Health. They found that acts of kindness actually trigger the brain's reward system.
Hold on, so we're talking about the same reward system that gets activated when we eat chocolate or, win the jackpot. It's pretty wide.
Exactly. And it gets even, I think, more interesting. The study also found that even just witnessing acts of kindness, even if you're not the one doing it or receiving it, can also trigger a similar response in your brain.
So you're saying that just by being kind, I'm not only like making myself feel good, but I could also be setting off this chain reaction of like positive vibes in other people?
Precisely. It really does suggest that kindness has this contagious quality, a ripple effect that goes way beyond that one act, and brings us to a really important point. The study actually points to oxytocin. It's often called the love hormone. And when we're kind, our brains release oxytocin, which has been linked to all sorts of good things.
Yeah.
Lower stress, lower blood pressure, even a better mood.
Wow. So being kind isn't just like a nice idea.
Yeah.
It's actually hardwired into how our bodies work.
Yeah.
But this idea of kindness, it's not just a new scientific discovery, right? It's been around for ages, especially in the teachings of Yahweh.
Absolutely. The scriptures are just filled with examples and teachings about kindness. Look at Proverbs 11:12, and it says, "The merciful man does good to his own soul, but he who is cruel troubles his own flesh." And that highlights something really crucial. Kindness isn't just about helping others. It's also about, nourishing our own souls.
Yeah. As an Israelite, that verse really hits home. It's like we're being told that living a kind life isn't optional. It's a core ingredient to really living a fulfilling life.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And this idea of reciprocity, it's woven throughout the Bible. And one of the most striking examples is the story of Ruth. Her kindness to Naomi had ripple effects for generations, ultimately leading to King David and, of course, Yeshua.
Wow, what a ripple effect. It's incredible to think that what might seem like a small act of kindness can have such huge and long-lasting consequences.
It is, and it reminds us that even the smallest acts of kindness can have far-reaching impacts. It makes you wonder, if one act can be so powerful, what potential do your choices hold? It really does make you think, doesn't it, about those little everyday things and how we treat each other? And speaking of everyday interactions, it's kind of fascinating how social media has become this platform for showing kindness. You've seen those videos, right? The ones that go viral where people are just doing random acts of generosity.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They pop up all over my feed. It's so heartwarming to see those acts of kindness just like catch fire and inspire others. Like that video where that guy paid for everyone's groceries behind him in line. It's amazing. Like one little thing can make such a splash.
It really speaks to that deep desire we all have to see good in the world. Those videos, I think they give us a little bit of hope. Even in a world that feels so divided sometimes, there's still so much good out there.
For sure. It's like kindness is contagious or something. It's spreading from one person to the next through these videos, through social media. But it makes you wonder, is all that social media kindness, is it all genuine or is some of it just for show?
I think that's a good point. It's important to be aware of, performative kindness, real kindness. It comes from a genuine desire to help, not because you want recognition or praise.
So how can our listeners, how can they tell the difference? How do we make sure our own acts of kindness are coming from the right place?
I think it comes down to checking your intentions. Are we acting out of compassion or are we hoping to get something out of it? Like you said, social media likes or praise. True kindness, it's about the impact, not the attention.
Right, that's a great point. It's so easy to get caught up in all the hype, but true kindness, it goes deeper than the screen. It's about making that conscious choice to be present and compassionate in our everyday interactions. even if no one's watching.
Exactly. And sometimes the most profound act of kindness is simply listening. Just giving someone that space to be heard without judgment, to share their joys and sorrows, that can be incredibly powerful.
That reminds me of something that happened to me a while back. I was going through a really rough time, feeling kind of lost and overwhelmed.
Hmm.
And I ended up just talking to this older woman at a coffee shop.
Oh, I'm curious. What happened?
Well, she didn't try to give me advice or fix anything. She just listened, really listened with such empathy. And it made all the difference in the world. I left feeling so much lighter, like this weight had been lifted just from being heard.
That's a beautiful story and a perfect example of how even the smallest acts can be so powerful. Sometimes all someone needs is a listening ear. It reminds us that we don't always need to have the answers. Sometimes just being there is enough.
And this connection between kindness and well-being, it's not just some woo-woo feeling. It's actually rooted in our biology. That study from the National Institutes of Health we mentioned earlier, well, it turns out kindness can trigger the release of oxytocin in our brains.
Yes, oxytocin. They call it the love hormone, and it plays a huge role in social bonding. It helps us feel trust and connection. But it's so much more than just a feel-good chemical, it turns out. Studies showed us all sorts of benefits for our physical health, too.
Like what? Give our listeners some specifics. How does this love hormone, how does it impact our health?
Well, for one, it's been shown to lower stress levels. And it can lower blood pressure, too. It can actually boost your immune system, even help wounds heal faster. It's pretty incredible.
It's amazing how Yahweh designed us to benefit from being kind to one another. It's a beautiful cycle. Kindness releases oxytocin, which makes us feel better, and then that motivates us to be even kinder. It's a win-win for everyone.
It really is. And the idea of reciprocity is something you see in Scripture as well. We see it in the teachings of Yeshua, where he talks about loving our neighbors as ourselves. And in Proverbs, where it says, whoever pursues righteousness and kindness will find life, righteousness, and honor. Kindness isn't just a nice to have. It's essential for living a fulfilling and meaningful life.
And it's something that we can all work towards. It doesn't require, special skills or anything. Just a willingness to open our hearts.
Exactly. And the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. Like building a muscle, the more you use it, the stronger it gets.
And as we strengthen that muscle, we start seeing more and more opportunities to spread kindness. It becomes less about, these big gestures and more about those everyday moments of connection.
I like that. It's a great analogy. And the more you look for those opportunities to be kind, the more you find them. It's like this treasure hunt where everyone wins. Speaking of real-world examples, I'm always so inspired by those stories of people making a difference in their communities through small acts of kindness.
Me too. Like the guy buying coffee for strangers. It's such a simple thing, but it obviously had this ripple effect, inspiring others to pay it forward.
Exactly. We don't have to wait for some big occasion to make a difference. Every day gives us tons of opportunities to spread kindness.
Absolutely. It could be as small as offering to help a neighbor, leaving a positive review for a local business, or just taking the time to listen to someone who needs to talk. It's about that conscious choice to brighten someone's day.
And those little acts can snowball into something much bigger. They can inspire others to do the same. It creates this chain reaction, like you said, of positivity. And who knows how far those ripples will go.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it? The idea that our actions can make such a difference in the world, even in ways we might never know. It all comes back to that connection we were talking about earlier. Even the smallest things can make a difference. But let's be real for a second. Kindness, it's not always easy, right? There are times when we might feel frustrated or overwhelmed or even hurt by others.
That's true. And sometimes in those moments, it's really hard to summon the energy to be kind. We're human, and we feel all kinds of emotions.
So what do we do in those tough situations? How do we choose kindness when we don't feel kind at all?
I think it starts with realizing that kindness isn't about ignoring our own feelings or pretending everything's okay. It's about making a choice. Choosing to act with compassion and understanding, even when it's hard. It's about seeing the spark of the divine in everyone, even when it's buried under layers of pain or anger.
I like that. It's choosing to focus on the good, even in the midst of all the negative stuff.
Exactly. And, sometimes I think the most powerful act of kindness is forgiveness. Forgiving ourselves for messing up and forgiving others for the ways they've hurt us. It doesn't mean we're saying it's okay. It's about letting go of that resentment and choosing to move forward.
Forgiveness is so powerful. It really frees us from the past and opens our hearts to love and compassion. It's like hitting the reset button. giving us a chance to start fresh and build new connections.
And when we start to forgive, it naturally spreads outwards. It's like a ripple effect of grace touching the lives of others. And as those ripples spread, they create a world that's more compassionate and understanding for everyone.
That's a beautiful vision. A world where kindness and forgiveness are the norm, where we try to understand each other instead of judging.
A world where we build each other up instead of tearing each other down.
A world where we recognize that our actions can create positive change, both for ourselves and for others.
I think as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, it would be good to leave our listeners with a question. What kind of world do you want to create with your acts of kindness?
That's such a powerful question. It really makes us think bigger, to think about the impact we're having on the world around us.
It reminds us that we all have a part to play in building a more loving and compassionate world.
And as we go about our day, let's remember that even the tiniest acts of kindness can make a world of difference.
So let's choose to be kind, to forgive, and to spread love wherever we go.
Beautiful words. And thank you all for joining us on this deep dive into the ripple effect of kindness. May this conversation inspire you to make kindness a part of your life, to create a world where compassion and love are the guiding forces. Shalom. Welcome back, everyone. It's been great exploring this ripple effect of kindness and seeing how even the smallest things can create such a positive impact.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm excited to get into some practical ways you can weave kindness into your everyday life.
One thing that keeps coming up for me is the connection between kindness and faith. They really seem to go hand in hand.
Absolutely. For people who follow Yahweh's teachings, kindness isn't just a suggestion, it's essential. It's about showing Yahweh's love in our actions, treating each other the same way he treats us.
Exactly. It's not enough to just talk about it. We have to live it, make it a part of everything we do.
Mm.
And the scriptures give us some pretty amazing examples of what that looks like.
Yeah, one that comes to mind is the parable of the Good Samaritan. Yeshua shared that story, and it really pushes us to expand how we define neighbor. It's about being kind to everyone, even those who are different from us.
Yeah, that's so important. True kindness, it goes beyond our differences and biases. It's about seeing the value in everyone, no matter who they are or where they come from.
And it's about acting with compassion, even when it's tough. Even if we don't understand someone or agree with them, we can still choose to treat them kindly and respectfully.
The story of Ruth is another one that comes to mind. Her loyalty to Naomi, even when things were really hard, it's incredibly inspiring.
It really is. Ruth's story shows the power of selfless love, and the incredible thing is, her actions didn't just impact her own circle, they had this ripple effect that touched so many lives. I mean, her lineage led to King David and eventually to Yeshua.
Wow, it's amazing to think that even the smallest things can have such a huge impact. It's like tossing a pebble into a pond. Those ripples just keep spreading.
I know, it makes you think, right? It challenges us to really pay attention to our choices, even the little ones. Who knows how far those ripples of kindness might travel?
It's pretty humbling. It makes you want to be more thoughtful in everything you do. Every interaction, every chance we have to make a positive impact.
Absolutely, and I think that's the beauty of it. Kindness doesn't need to be some grand gesture. It's often in the simplest things. A smile, a compliment, listening ear.
Yeah, sometimes those little things can mean more than we realize. They can really brighten someone's day, lift their spirits, even change their whole outlook.
And what's so amazing is that anyone can do those things. You don't need special skills or tons of money or anything. Kindness is a universal language.
It really is. It's something we can practice every single day, no matter what. And the more we practice, the easier it becomes. Like you were saying earlier, it's like working a muscle.
Exactly. And as that kindness muscle gets stronger, we start to see more and more opportunities to be kind. It becomes less of a chore and more of just a natural way of living.
It's like kindness becomes a part of who we are, how we see the world, and how we treat each other.
And when we live that way, we realize that kindness isn't just good for the people receiving it, it's good for the giver too.
Yeah.
There's this deep sense of joy and fulfillment that comes from knowing you've made a positive impact on someone's life.
That's so true.
Yeah.
And that joy, well, it creates its own ripple effect. It encourages us to keep being kind, to keep spreading that compassion. It's a beautiful cycle.
It really is. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave everyone with a challenge. Make a conscious effort to practice kindness every single day, even in the smallest ways.
I love that. And don't underestimate the power of those little things. A smile, a kind word, a helping hand. Those are the seeds that can grow into something amazing for us and for the people around us.
That's right. Remember, we're all connected, and what we do has an impact that reaches further than we can imagine. So let's choose to be kind, let's forgive, and let's spread that love everywhere we go.
Beautiful. And thank you all for joining us today on this deep dive into the ripple effect of kindness. May we all go out and make the world a more compassionate and loving place. Shalom.